Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my beloved brothers and sisters. I hope you all are well and in the best of health and iman, inshallah ta'ala. Today in this video, I want to talk about one of the biggest problems that a person may face when it comes to learning the Arabic language and trying to become fluent when speaking. And if a person is able to overcome this problem, then the doors of fluency and mastering a language are wide and open. And so we're going to talk about the problem, and inshallah ta'ala at the end we're going to talk about the solution to this for you perhaps, which is a upcoming program that we have for you that I will be teaching in regards to the Arabic language. So let's talk about the problem first. Now, in order to understand the problem, I want to give an example of myself. You see, I've been studying the Arabic language for a very long time, for over a decade, and I've studied in multiple different institutions. I even did a degree in the Arabic language in a university full-time in the UK. I studied in different countries like Pakistan, different institutions online and offline with different scholars and different teachers. We studied multiple different books. Some books I studied in English, some I did in Arabic, some I did in Urdu. I've done a lot over the last 10 plus years, and throughout that process I did learn the Arabic language because one of the things that I wanted to do, which was be able to read Islamic books, Islamic literature, I was able to do that to the point where there's literally, alhamdulillah, bifadlillahi tabarak ta'ala, by the virtue of Allah and His blessings, there isn't really a book that I would come across in Arabic except that I can read it. Of course, there might be a few words every now and again that I'm unfamiliar with, but generally speaking, the ability to read and understand is there, and also the ability to listen to lectures and scholars and hear people conversate and talk and understand what they're saying. All of that, alhamdulillah, I was able to achieve. But there was one thing that I just couldn't do, and that was speaking. And it never made sense to me why, because I know that I know so much vocabulary because I'm able to read so many different books and I'm able to listen to people when they talk, but I wasn't able to really grasp the ability of just having a proper conversation with somebody. I could obviously have very basic conversations like, Assalamu alaikum, kayfa haluka, bikhair walhamdulillah, masmuka, all those very simple basic conversations, but I wasn't really able to go beyond that. And so I never really understood what was the reason for this until one incident took place, which was I one day decided to go to a Islamic bookstore with one of my friends, and he mashallah is able to speak Arabic, and we basically went to go and buy some books. Now usually when I would go to bookstores, I would usually go with one of my teachers, and my teachers would be the ones that would communicate with the bookstore owners, asking about the books and what is the pricing of the books, and then he would obviously speak to me in my language, English or Urdu, whatever it may be, in order to explain to me about the books. But this time I decided to just go on my own and go with my friend and just pick up a few books. And whilst we were there in the shop, looking around, trying to find some books, I was looking for some particular books and I couldn't find them. So I would keep telling my friend to go to the to the bookshop owner and ask him, where is his book? And he would go to him and ask him in Arabic and then come back to me and tell me. And I kept sending him until eventually he came back to me. And he goes, wait, hold on a minute. He said, I thought you know Arabic. Aren't you able to read books and listen to lectures and why did you go ask him yourself? And I said, no, I'm not going to. And he said, why? And I said, I'm scared. And that was a light bulb moment for me, because I realized the reason why I wasn't speaking and I wasn't just having conversations with people is because I was scared. What is it that I was scared of? I was scared of failing. I was scared of the embarrassment of failing and making mistakes. I was lacking confidence to speak because I was scared what people might say when I make a mistake or I make a slur, when I'm not, grammatically correct when I speak. And because of that, it prevented me from many years to become fluent in speaking Arabic. And it was at that moment that I said to myself, you know what, enough is enough. Every opportunity that I get, I'm going to speak and I'm going to speak and I'm going to speak. And so eventually I was able to speak with fluency and become better at speaking in the Arabic language. Now, the problem here is that people, they lack confidence. They don't have the confidence inside of themselves to speak. And it's really because of the fear of embarrassment and making mistakes. If you can remove for yourself the thought of making mistakes and the fear of it, because look, at the end of the day, you have to realize that in order for you to get better at something, you have to fail. Because when you fail, you learn your mistakes and then you strengthen those mistakes. And you rectify those mistakes and you strengthen your ability to the point that you start walking upon a path of success. And it is only through your failures does a person really lead to success. And so if you realize that this path of learning the Arabic language and speaking fluently involves you making very bizarre mistakes when you talk, and sometimes, using the feminine instead of the masculine when you're talking about certain people, but going through that process is what's going to sharpen your tools. It's what's going to give you the ability to become strong and fluent in the Arabic language. So how do you overcome this problem of being scared to make mistakes and the fear of embarrassment? Is number one, just realizing that, look, there's only one way to this, which is you have to fail. And when you fail, you will eventually become successful. And at the end of the day, if you always give concern to what other people think and what they think about you, then you're never really going to learn and progress in life. And number two is you can also try to create an environment. And this is where I wanted to talk about point two, which is the Arabic programs that we have at the Arabic Code Academy. They are courses where we teach multiple things. We teach you how to read Arabic, we teach you how to speak Arabic, we teach you how to understand the Quran. But when it comes to speaking, one of the things that I try to do is make sure that we build an environment where a person can feel confident, which is you are here studying amongst other students that are also studying, and all of you are in the same position. None of you know how to speak Arabic right now. And when you're in a classroom and there are other people with you that are also making mistakes, you feel a bit more okay about the process because you realize it's not just me. There are others in this process as well. And so we try to create those environments within our programs so that you can feel confident enough, so that you can have the ability to just speak without actually being scared that someone's going to laugh at you or make jokes about you or comment about you or say X, Y, and Z about you. And so we have a new program up and coming, inshallah ta'ala, which is all about learning how to speak at a very beginner's level. So people that are unable to speak the Arabic language and you don't know how to have basic conversations, then we will teach you how to have these basic conversations talking about yourself, your family, your life, and etc. But the key element about it is learning how to actually become confident. So not only do we have the environment to help you so that you can be confident as well, but we also teach you how can you develop confidence in yourself as a better speaker, generally speaking, so that you can use these extra principles in life that will help you to really become confident and not care what everybody thinks or what other people think, and just speak for your betterment so that you can learn the Arabic language and you can become better at it, inshallah ta'ala. If you want to be part of the program, you want to join the program, it starts literally in a few days, and there will be a link in the description below which you can check it out, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. But all in all, apply the principle of creating a environment that breeds confidence for you. So that, for example, if you're learning Arabic, for example, one-to-one with a teacher, and you feel shy to speak with the teacher because it's just you on your own, you just don't like to be alone, perhaps maybe bring one of your friends into the course, into the program as well, so that now there is two of you, and sometimes having that companion can help you, and also just remembering at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter what the people think. Speak, make mistakes. At the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be successful. You're the one that's going to be able to speak the Arabic language fluently, and everybody else is still going to be there learning their alif, ba, ta, and struggling to get up there because they haven't taken that path of just ignoring what the people think. Anyway, I hope the video was of benefit to you all, inshallah ta'ala. Sometimes, a bit of waffle, but I hope there's clarity in the point, which is learn fluency in Arabic by becoming confident in speaking. The more confident you are when you speak, the less you care about mistakes and what people say, the faster you are on the track of progression and success and fluency in the Arabic language. And if you want to join us, inshallah ta'ala, you can join the program. I would love to see you guys there. May Allah bless you all. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakum Allahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.